What's happening? Alright, so right off the bat, this was an ill-conceived idea. Number one, this is the ghost of my dignity. I'm not a Klansman. If, however, you've decided that my dignity is long gone, then you can consider this the, I don't know, the ghost of my own patience, or perhaps the ghost of my, subscriber count here on YouTube. Alright, this is fucking stupid, so I'm just gonna get into it. What we're listening to in the background, this is Book of Skelos. I have definitely played this in a video before, but it works perfectly for a Halloween-themed video. I'm definitely not gonna bullshit around as much as I normally do, so I'd like to just get into it if we could. The first thing that I'm gonna talk about here is something that I am fucking thrilled to have in my collection. This is Bloody Keep. This is a compilation of the first two Bloody Keep EPs, Cup of Blood in the Top of the Tower and Bloody Horror. I don't really know why they chose the cover of Bloody Horror to use as the cover of this compilation, but it's also kind of weird because the second EP is the first one on this, like it's side A. Don't really know why. We've talked about Bloody Keep a handful of times on this channel at this point, so not really too much reason to go into it. This is a solo project from Abysmal Spectre, who is the same person behind, you know, Old Nick, Curtain Wall, a few, like, sort of comfy synth type projects as well. But the more time that passes, the more I almost feel like Bloody Keep is the best in the bunch. It's for me, it's kind of hard to beat the Old Nick stuff, but Bloody Keep is just so goddamn good, and these first two EPs, though they're not my favorite material from Bloody Keep, they are absolutely, you know, that's not saying anything bad because everything this band has done so far has been perfect. It's kind of weird because Bloody Keep did just put out a fourth EP called Vampiric Countess, which is kind of closer to the material in the first two EPs here than it is the third EP, Bloody Keep, the self-titled one, which is my favorite. But it almost doesn't matter, like I said, because all of this stuff is really good. The Bloody Horror side of this compilation, the second EP, has some really, really cool moments on it. The song Morning Dawn has a very, very, like, surf rock section that kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's probably my favorite part of that EP in its entirety. But also the third track, called The Twilight Crow, there's a moment near the end of that song where it kind of turns into this like really muffled singing, and it's fucking badass, dude. I love it. The first track on the B-side, or the first song on the first EP, Cup of Blood in the Top of the Tower, it's the self-titled track from that side. It's like a pipe organ intro, and it sets the mood fucking perfectly. But I really like the super feral vocals. The black metal is kind of like thin, but I think it works really, really nicely. Let me show you what this looks like. Like I said, this is the cover of the second Bloody Keep EP, Bloody Horror. It's like kawaii Vlad Tepes, which, you know, this cover has kind of gotten this band a lot of shit online. I don't know. I kind of think it's silly, but, you know, I think it's supposed to be. There's the back cover right there. You have all the track listing. This is put out through Phantom Lore. This is put out on 3 separate colors. There was a black vinyl, there was a red vinyl with red splatter, and then there was the Mystical Smoke vinyl, which looks like this. It kind of looks like the Lace Shawl record, but that one was pink. This is like clear with like a really cool like black stripy effect. Limited to 100 copies. I love it. So as many times as I've talked about Bloody Keep on this channel, I think that as long as this band or this project keeps releasing shit, I'm definitely going to keep talking about it, because this is absolutely wonderful, a lot of fun, and, you know, my favorite music is music that I consider to be fun. But then again, my judgment isn't exactly one that should be taken seriously. Right? So yeah, man, if you've never heard it, definitely give it a whirl. It's Bloody Keep. Alright, moving on. This is a first press of a record that I never owned before now. And I was really excited to get this one because I've wanted this record for a while. But it was one that was kind of just never a priority, but ever since I have kind of been on a sort of kick of buying like first presses of albums to fill gaps in my collection and whatever, this was kind of one of the ones that came to mind initially. So I'm very glad to own this one. This is Annihilator with Alice in Hell. Oh, good, the glare's here. Hey girl. Annihilator is a Canadian band, obviously. It formed back in 1984, and this is the debut full-length album from 1989. I have not heard all the material from Annihilator. To be honest, I haven't heard much past this. I honestly I can't imagine that it's anything groundbreaking. Definitely none of the like follow-up albums kind of reached the classic status that this one did. But you know, this album I would say is kind of like a thrash classic for a really good reason. This album is just chock full of like really good guitar work. I love the super audible bass that's on this one from front to back. I like the really like snarly vocals that kind of go shrieky at times. Really good guitar solos on this one. Specifically the one that comes to mind is the 4th track, Wicked Mystic. Such a good song, man. Probably one of my favorites on here as well. Right along with the song Alice in Hell, which is spelled like the name Allison, not Alice in Hell, like the title of this album. But really, man, like, I think that the just badass songwriting here is the reason that this album should be praised. And it just sounds like it's got a bad attitude, and I fucking love it. I'll show you what this looks like, because I really don't need to talk too much about the music on this one. This is a 1989 Roadrunner Records press of this one. It is a first press. I like the album cover quite a bit, because it's kind of silly. Just this girl walking down the stairs, all these dolls, and then you have like little baby evil doll standing with his big intimidating shadow. A very classic 80s looking picture of these guys in this band here. All the track listing, like I said, this was put out through Roadrunner Records. This comes with the original inner sleeve here. I think it's an inner sleeve. Just individual pictures of the band members, and you have all the lyrics on the other side. The vinyl itself is just black and the labels are very simple, so I'm not going to pull it out. So I really don't need to talk too much more about Annihilator or, you know, this album, because like I said, it is a classic album, and I kind of just wanted to show that I had it because I've really been trying to keep up with like the first presses that I buy, like making sure that I show them in videos, just because a lot of them are albums that I should have owned a long time ago and people have asked me about before. So that's really the only reason. But this is such a fucking good record, and I'm thrilled to own it. And also it kind of fits with like the Halloween, fucking stupid Halloween theme. So yeah, man, since everybody knows it, here's 10 seconds of Annihilator, Alice in Hell. Alright, moving on. The next album here is actually another thrash metal album. Though this isn't a first press of this one, this is the most recent repress of this. But I actually really looked into this one. And I'm talking about this. This is Toxic Holocaust with Evil Never Dies. So this is the debut full-length album from Toxic Holocaust from all the way back in 2003. Following, I think it was 2 demos and 2 splits. And then we got the first full-length album. So when I say I kind of lucked into this one, I got it on eBay, but I got it for $10. So I'm pretty sure it was $10 shipped too. I might be wrong about that. It might have been like 13 shipped or something. But regardless, it's super cheap. Because if even these most recent represses, if you look on Discogs, you know, they're like, they don't pop up very often, and when they do, you ain't getting it for no $10. This fucking sheet was such a stupid idea. So yeah, the first Toxic Holocaust album, it basically follows the formula of pretty much every subsequent Toxic Holocaust album. But I don't really think that that's a bad thing, because everything that I've heard from this band is fucking sweet. The only really like downside of this album is kind of the same thing that's like a downside with any Toxic Holocaust album, which is like every song follows the exact same idea, which that's not like inherently a bad thing. Like, you know, a certain level of repetition does encourage like, you know, memorability. And that's definitely true for this album. This album is ultra memorable. All sorts of good riffs on this thing. The My favorite on here is probably War is Hell, but I also like the song 666 a lot. But really, I mean, like, you know, if you like one song on this one, you're probably gonna like all of them. But yeah, man, the riffs are badass. They stick in the old noodle. The vocals are like vicious, and like you can tell what old Joel Grind is saying, which I appreciate. And there's just cool choruses throughout this thing. Let me show you what this looks like. Love the album cover. It's like this dude crawling out of somebody's flayed open body. There's the back cover there, a picture of, I assume that's Joel Grind there. This is a 2014 relapse press of this. Like I said, that is the most recent repress of this one. So that being said, of course, it is sorely in need of a repress again. This one is a little bit banged up. Like, there's actually tack holes in the upper corners of this thing. So, you know, like if this were a record from like the 80s, I could kind of understand that. I don't know what you're doing buying records in 2014 or later and tacking them to your wall. This doesn't come with an inner sleeve or sheet or anything, but it does come on white vinyl. I'm not sure if there was a limitation specified or not. The sides are not labeled, so you have to use the dead wax to figure out which side is which is wonderful, thanks to Relapse. But yeah, man, fucking banger from front to back. I'm thrilled to own this one. Ever since I got into Toxic Holocaust, I've really been wanting to add this to the collection, so, you know, a reasonably good condition copy for $10, I'll take it. This shit's badass. If you've never heard it, that's Toxic Holocaust, Evil Never Dies. Alright, hypoxia has fully set in, so I have a feeling this is going to get worse. Moving on, this is actually a record that I had talked about in another video that I already have filmed and edited and everything, which you guys won't see until after this one. But the entire time I was talking about this one, it was just slightly fucking blurry, so I just cut it out, so that video will only have 6 records in it. But I just moved it to this one because I really want to talk about this thing. This is Rope Sect with Metanoia Sessions. Oh, you motherfucker. This is basically a collection of like stripped down tracks that were recorded between 2018 and 2022. I don't really know if Rope Sect themselves has, you know, called this like full length or like an EP, or if it's supposed to just be a compilation. Regardless, I am going to consider this like a new, you know, sort of like release that I can sort of put it like the best of 2022 video at the end of the year or the beginning of next year or whatever. This shit is fucking wonderful. Rope Sect, for me, it's weird because like the one Rope Sect full-length album, The Great Flood, is definitely my least favorite Rope Sect material. Like, my favorite Rope Sect material is all in like the EPs and stuff. And this one here is really, really good, but it's got one of my favorite Rope Sect songs, period, Filth in Every Smile. Something about that song just cuts me to my very core. I don't know, I fell in love with that track the very first time I heard it, and I've just kept it in rotation ever since, especially those first few weeks, man. It was just like over and over and over again. Besides that, the song Knives on here is really good, and the second song Thrones is really good as well. But it's Rope Sect, everything on here is wonderful. There's the album cover right there. It's very sort of, you know, typical for Rope Sect style album covers. I like it. There's the back cover there, very simple, put out through Iron Bonehead. And this one has 6 tracks on it. This does include an inner sheet, which has like basically the same picture on both sides. Hand with a string wrapped around it. This does include all the lyrics, which is nice. And this was also released on a couple different like versions, but as with most Iron Bonehead stuff, I just wait for like Nuclear War Now to get it. And Nuclear War Now seems to usually just get the black vinyl version of Iron Bonehead stuff, so that's what this is. But man, like, this is like this is one of my favorite Rope Sect releases so far. And it definitely is like some of the most dark and sort of haunting material yet. I've yet to meet somebody and like that I've talked to about Rope Sect and them just not love this band. Like, everything that Rope Sect has done up to this point is very, very nearly just 10 out of 10s across the board. I love it. And I've talked about, I think, every release from Rope Sect so far on this channel. And I'm just gonna keep it up because I love this band so much. So if for some reason you still have never heard Rope Sect, here's your sign. That's Metanoia Sessions.
But how many times did you try it anyway? And learn to lose and not to care for anyone.
The ghost of my very will to live. All right, moving on. This is one that I'm fucking thrilled to own. And I know that I say that a lot, and I'll probably continue saying that a lot. Because, you know, as many records as I have, I don't show everything in these videos. I typically show the stuff that I'm most excited about. And this is definitely one of those. I was just happy to see that this was getting a vinyl press. And I am, of course, talking about this. This is Night of the Vampire with Eternal Night. So, Night of the Vampire released Eternal Night early on this year. Originally it was a cassette release, and then they did a CD and a repress of the cassettes. And I happened to get in, I found this project when it was just like the CD was available and the initial cassettes had already sold out. So I bought the CD, and I've listened to this material quite a lot this year. It's definitely some of my favorite, like, you know, material to come out of 2022. This is a solo, sort of like black metal post-punk hybrid project from Texas. And this is the one and only release to date from Night of the Vampire. But dude, this is such a cool fucking sound. It's very unique. It's got a literal perfect balance between the kind of like post-punk and black metal elements. I love the synth work on this thing. The vocals are, you know, kind of like reverbed and a bit croaky. But the vocals aren't really, you know, what makes this so special. What makes this so special is absolutely just the blending of post-punk and black metal. It's super duper cool. I actually have another record that is a sort of blend of like post-punk and black metal, which I have not talked about yet. But I'll probably pull that one out soon because it's great as well. If you just across the board hate black metal with any amount of sense in it, then this isn't going to change your mind or anything. But like, just, I don't know, man, like something about the way that this mixes the two styles together, I just fucking love it. And there's also guitar solos on this, which is pretty unique, especially given the already sort of weird blend of two very different styles. Guitar solos and black metal sort of don't go together anyway, at least not traditionally. The album cover I don't love. I have no problem with like cartoony covers or anything like that, obviously. I think it might be like the red and purple. Something about that, I don't like it. There's the back cover right there. This is not a very long release, only 3 tracks, probably like 12 minutes total, something like that. This is self-released by the band, and I'm pretty sure that these are still available, so if you like what you hear in the song clip, definitely go grab one. They were all on the same color, which is red splatter on purple, which is cool. I don't think I have any records that are red splatter on purple. Yeah, I also don't really know if there was any like specified limitations on this one. But you know, I'm just happy to own one. And like I said, they're still available, and they are being sold from within the United States. So if any of the United States homies want one of these, now's your chance. Absolutely wonderful. Literally no complaints with this, apart from it not being anywhere near long enough. So I'm thrilled to hear whatever this band does next, but for now, this is Night of the Vampire with Eternal Night. Alright, moving on. This is another first press. This one actually, it came in just a couple days ago. And I've only played it once, and I just actually noticed that this one has tackles in it too. Isn't that lovely? This was kind of a last minute inclusion into this video, and I basically wanted to pull it out and talk about it briefly just because I've never talked about this band on this channel despite it being so fucking legendary. Now granted, this isn't the album from this band. Like, if anybody talks about this band, they talk about the debut album, which I'll have it soon. But this is the second album from 1986. This is Possessed with Beyond the Gates. So this band formed way back in 1983 in San Francisco. And Possessed has always been, in contention as the first death metal band. Seven Churches up against this one is, I mean, it's clear that this band after Seven Churches kind of decided to go in a more traditional sort of thrash direction. It's just nowhere near as like sort of lo-fi and gritty as Seven Churches was. But this album has a lot of like good shit going for it regardless. Like the guitar solos on here are all over the place and they're all really, really good. The vocals are kind of strange. They're not like, they're not really harsh vocals and they're not really clean vocals either. They live somewhere like in a perfect blend between the two. So it's kind of interesting like how much this band changed just within a year, because this only came out the year after Seven Churches. And I actually didn't really even know that this band, or at least I didn't remember that this band did release another album in 2019. So that's an extremely long time, you know, between full-length albums, but they probably could have stopped at this one, and I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. However, you know, it's cool to see that this band is still around after all this time, because even if they're releasing subpar shit now, like, the good shit doesn't go anywhere. Anyway, this was released on a few different labels back in 1986. Under One Flag, Combat. This is a Cobra pressing. So I'm pretty sure, I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure that all the first labels to press this thing did the big fold-out cover, which I'll show you now. This folds out like this, and then it folds down, and then it folds out again. Yeah, there you go. Very cool. Holy shit, this is a nightmare. It's also got a very cool album cover as well. I love it. There's the back with a shot of the band members and then a shot of like the individual guys. You got all the track listing and shit like that. And like I said, this was released on Cobra Records. Luckily for me, this does include the original inner sheet with all the lyrics and then some, you know, just shots of the band. I'm not going to pull the vinyl out because it is just black, but I'll show you the labels for those of you that might be curious. So this record absolutely doesn't have the esteem that the debut did, but you know, when the first record is as classic as it is, I guess, you know, you can't really expect every follow-up record to you know, have the same fucking status. But this is a great record regardless. I dig it a lot, and I'm sure most of you guys do too. So that is Possessed with Beyond the Gates. This is going to be quite a shorter video than normal because I think I might actually be about to pass out. And if I do pass out, I'm going to keep it in the video because it will be fucking hilarious. All right, let's finish this off. This is the last record. I am going to get through this pretty quickly because this is also kind of a well-known record. You know, I actually just remembered the last time I made one of these like Halloween videos with like the fucking bisexual lighting and everything. I talked about a release from this band. And I'm talking about Graveland. This is the Celtic Winter. So the Celtic Winter is the very last demo in a string of demos leading up to the debut full-length album Carpathian Wolves. And Carpathian Wolves was released in 1994, the same year that this demo was. This is actually a 2021 Forever Plagued pressing of this one, which you can tell by the album cover. This has had a few different presses, and a lot of them have different covers, which I actually kind of like. But this one just has like a shot of the band at the time. But basically, musically, the reason I don't need to talk much about this is because this is kind of very par for the course for like second wave black metal. Really, the only thing setting this apart, I guess, is the inclusion of like keys. I don't know, they're not everywhere. When they do pop up, they seem to be used tastefully, and it's not like overwhelming or anything like that. It's sort of just used as like a background element to enhance everything else instead of something in the forefront. But, you know, I really like shit like that, and I think this does it quite nicely. There's the album cover there. Just a shot of the band, like I said. There's the back cover right there. Forever Plagued, like I said, all the stuff that Forever Plagued has done, like all the Graveland stuff that they've been putting out, has all been really nice quality, and this is absolutely no exception. Limited to 500 copies, which it says right there at the bottom. They're all released with a really nice gatefold cover. You got all the lyrics, which is cool, and some additional photos of the guys in the band. Very cool. The vinyl itself is just black. I'm not gonna pull it out. So I don't know, you get the idea. It's a second wave black metal demo from 1994. The production on this one is quite good. I mean, it's not like super ultra raw or anything like that. Rob Darkin's vocals are great, obviously. The music is great. It's relatively simple. I like it. It's not anything like earth-shattering or whatever. I just wanted to pull it out because I had it out already and I realized I never talked about it. So, for those of you who have never heard Graveland somehow, I guess your time is now. That's the Celtic Winter. And that's it, y'all. I am in desperate need of medical attention. So, I don't know, maybe my actual ghost will be making an appearance for the next video. Thank you so much for sticking through this bullshit. I really hope that it's not fucking too muffled. Oh my god, if it's muffled. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon. Later.